Greetings. Welcome to week 4. So we've had a tumultuous few days, or really about almost a week, where we didn't have Blackboard and lots of, network calamities that have been experienced over the last few days. And so before we get into week 4, I want to address weeks 1, 2, and 3. So I am going to once again extend until this coming Sunday, which is going to be, I believe, the 13th. So this Sunday, September 13th at 11:59, everything from week 1 up until week 4, which we are getting ready to get into, will be due. So you'll have another short quiz this week through McGraw-Hill Connect. And and everything will be due. So I'm giving you extensions. I'm not going to take any points off, and that's that. So we have to deal with what we have to deal with, and this is the way I choose to deal with it. So I'm not going to penalize you guys for not having Blackboard. So my apologies for not posting on yesterday. I was able to post in a few courses. So the Blackboard being down, kind of threw my schedule off as well. But my sincerest apologies for those of you who are, like to get your information as soon as you like to get your information. So I totally understand that. So, but here we are. So here's week 4. So this week we're going to be talking about preventing injuries through fitness training. And so, fitness is critical for performance and injury prevention. And so improper conditioning is a major cause in sports-related injuries. So areas of concern, as you can imagine, would be something like flexibility, strength, endurance, power, etc. And so exercise-related injuries can be reduced with improved fitness levels. So for those of you who have been involved in sports, at some point in life, we don't like it, but conditioning, in physical, conditioning, strength, endurance, all those things, play a major part in keeping you injury free, flexibility. And then I'm going to add one in there that's not necessarily in your text or in the PowerPoints, but one of function versus dysfunction. So for those of you who have had class with me before, that I am very much an advocate of proper movement. So, if your feet, flare out, if your arm doesn't extend, then those can be problems that manifest themselves as injuries or pain at some point down the line. So, so when we start training, so when we start to train, there's some different aspects of training that we have to consider. So, periodization, if anyone's ever heard of that term. So periodization involves taking a calendar or a cycle approach to your training. So, you start at one point in the year and you build up, and then you peak, at a certain part of the year, with the training, and then you back off, into the, off season. And so, and by doing this, you minimize overtraining. So overtraining is when you just train to the point where, your body starts to psychologically and physiologically respond by shutting down. So, I don't know if any of you have overtrained before, But if you overtrain, then you could have protein degradation, meaning that you have a breakdown of your muscular and connective tissues to the point where you may have an injury. And so, periodizations, you have periods or phases of training. So you had the transition period that follows, your last game or your last match, and it's unstructured. So after the last game, the team may go for a swim, on a regular basis, or a light jog, or some other type of activity that's not necessarily related to their sport. And then you have that preparatory phase in your off season, where you may want to get stronger. So you may want to increase, your girth. So you may want to actually put on some pounds, get stronger during that period. And so, that can be a period of a few weeks to several months. And then you have your strength phase, where, you want to increase your strength, and then your power phase, and this all depends on your sport. So this is, you can modify these phases to fit the particular sport, that may be involved. So this isn't directly athletic training per se, as much as it is strength and conditioning. So athletic training, strength and conditioning, two different things. And so in week one, you learn that athletic training, is injury prevention, rehabilitation, organization, administration, and the other domains of athletic training. And so, but once you complete these phases in periodization, then you have prepared the athlete for a competition season wherein hopefully they don't get hurt because of their conditioning. So the foundations of conditioning and training, you have your warm up, cool down, you have motivation, overload, and SAID principle. So the SAID principle is specific adaptation to implied demand. And so basically what they're saying is, if today I can do 10 push-ups, I'm going to overload the body by attempting to do 11 or 12. And then the next time I go to do push-ups, I should be able to do 12 to 15 because I've overloaded the body, and my body has responded by hypertrophy. I have more blood flow running to the muscles, or I have torn the fiber and rebuilt it. So now I'm actually bigger. So I have more muscle cross-sectional area. And these are things that we'll talk about next semester in exercise physiology. Consistency of the routine and progression. So throughout the seasons, you want to continue to progress them. When I say them, I'm talking about, in this particular case, I'm talking about your athletes. You want to progress them as they go. So at the beginning of the season, they may not be able to touch their toes. At the end of the season, you want to see some progress there. They may still not be able to touch their toes, but you want to see some progress. Intensity, specificity, individuality, relaxation, and above all, let's be safe in everything that we do. So, throughout the chapter, you'll go through these different phases and things that are key, for that phase with regard to injury prevention and conditioning. So And so you get a chance to talk about open and closing chain, closed chain exercises, uh, cross training. I mentioned a little bit of cross training when I mentioned swimming or doing some other sport that's unrelated. Um, and then of course cardio. We're somewhat familiar with cardio training. So this week you'll have another short quiz. Um, and again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, you will have an opportunity to complete all the work up to this point and have it done by Sunday. So hopefully, we won't have any more network problems, but trust and believe that, this too shall pass. We will get through, this semester. And, but know this, after this week, we have about maybe 7 weeks left. So we're going to have a break. And, these 7 weeks, the semester is a little bit more tedious for you with quizzes every week. So if you get behind, it's going to be really, 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 really hard for you to bounce back. And so I want you all to make sure that you log in on a regular basis and that you stay on top of your assignments. So the quiz this week, I'm going to try and make it a little shorter, for you, and so that it doesn't compound on the stuff that you should have done already. But nonetheless, that's what we have for this week. And if you have any problems, you have any questions or concerns, do not hesitate to email me or reach out to me via Starfish to schedule a meeting if you need to. All right. Have a great week.